Welcome to today's Explainer. Today we're breaking down something I find truly fascinating. It's all about the hidden dynamics of the modern workplace. We're getting into a super common yet secretly guarded professional anxiety, the actual value of knowledge sharing. We're going to look at a pretty compelling case study of a design firm, their absolute star employee, and a massive lesson on leadership and growth.
Okay, let's dive into this. Does helping others actually diminish your own success? I mean, if you say it out loud, it seems like a really simple, no, of course not. But let's be real. In highly competitive environments, the internal answer for a lot of top performers is often a very nervous yes. And we're going to explore that exact tension today by looking at the story of Brightness Studios and what happens when the fear of being replaced completely clashes with a company's need to grow.
Section 1. The Star Designer, the Knowledge Hoarder.
So, this sets up a classic workplace archetype that I am absolutely sure many of you will instantly recognize. Meet Vihan. He is the undisputed star of Brightness Studios. Honestly, on paper, the guy is a massive success. Literally every single project he touches turns into a total hit. He's incredibly sought after, clients are actively requesting him by name, and management, well, they're just constantly showering him with praise. He is, for sure, the golden goose of the agency.
Now, what's really interesting here is the stark contrast between that shiny golden trophy Vihan holds up to the world and the heavy padlock he's clinging to on the inside. Externally, he's top tier, right? But his internal reality is totally driven by insecurity. Our source material points out a really crucial detail. Vihan actively feared that if other people became as skilled as him, he'd lose his importance. His perceived value wasn't just in being great, it was in being the only one who was great. And that fear, it dictates his every move.
Section 2. The mentorship refusal, a junior struggle.
Enter Annika. She's a brand new variable in Vihan's very carefully controlled ecosystem. She is a talented but highly inexperienced junior employee who just joined the team. So, on her very first day, she's super eager to grow and she asks Vihan for some guidance. His exact response? I'm very busy. Maybe later. Now, it's polite, sure. It sounds exactly like a standard, everyday workplace brush-off. But knowing what we know about Vihan's internal reality, this is not about time management. This is a highly strategic refusal. And this refusal triggers what we can call the hoarding effect. By deliberately withholding his expertise, Vihan is actively stifling the team's growth. When Annika asks questions, she gets these deliberately vague answers. When she's visibly struggling with a design concept, Vihan just chooses to remain silent. The result of all this? Months go by, where Annika is forced to learn everything the incredibly hard way. Just slow, agonizing trial and error. Vihan successfully protects his star status, absolutely, but he does it at the direct cost of his own teammates' potential.
Section 3. A single point of failure. The company crisis. Now we shift from a character study to a serious, systemic business problem. The whole dynamic at Brightness Studios flips overnight when the company wins this massive international project. The CEO announces that it's just way too big for one person. They need a strong, highly capable team. Naturally, everybody assumes Vihan's going to lead it. But when the CEO actually sits down and reviews the team's capabilities for this huge new workload, a pretty terrifying reality emerges. Can the rest of the team handle the critical project parts? Nope. Only Vihan can.
So the CEO looks at this data, frowns, and delivers this absolutely devastating realization. That means if Vihan is unavailable, this entire project stops. Let that sink in. In his relentless quest to be the absolute most important person in the room, Vihan actually made himself a really dangerous bottleneck. He's not just an asset anymore. He is a single point of failure that literally threatens the whole international project.
Section 4. The true leader, the multiplier effect.
So it's time to introduce a totally different approach to workplace excellence. Instead of relying on Vihan, the CEO turns his attention to another senior designer, a guy named Kabir. Now, Kabir doesn't have that flashy reputation that Vihan does, He's not the guy clients are demanding by name. But look at his internal track record. Over the years, Kabir had just quietly and patiently trained almost every single junior designer in the building. Our source notes that wherever Kabir worked, confident designers emerged. He was building infrastructure, while Vihan was just busy building a pedestal. And this brilliantly illustrates the core philosophical difference the CEO recognized that day. It's the ultimate difference between a hoarder and a multiplier. See, the hoarder believes they're valuable because literally no one else can do the work. But the multiplier, they become infinitely more valuable to an organization because they ensure that many people can do the work. Understanding this, the CEO makes a move that completely shocks the room. He bypasses his star player and promotes Kabir to creative director. Section 5, the candle metaphor, lighting the way.
And here we reach the climax of our story. Later that evening, a deeply disappointed Vihan goes straight to the CEO seeking an explanation. He asks, "I produce better designs than anyone. Why wasn't I chosen?" See, in Vihan's mind, output equals leadership. He fundamentally misunderstands what the company actually needed to scale and survive.
Let's see how this builds, because what happens next is honestly one of the most elegant leadership demonstrations you will ever come across. The CEO doesn't even argue with Vahan. Instead, he just picks up a single lit candle from his desk. He takes that flame and he uses it to light a second candle. Then he uses it to light a third. He just continues this process, sharing the flame from that very first candle to all the others.
The source tells us that soon enough there are 5 candles glowing brightly in the room. That initial light hasn't just been shared, it's been multiplied 5 times over, totally filling the space with illumination.
The CEO turns back to Vihan, gestures to the beautiful display on his desk, and asks this incredibly simple yet profound rhetorical question. Did the first candle lose its light? Vihan, just looking at all those bright flames, simply shakes his head and says, "No." The CEO smiles and delivers the definitive lesson of today's explainer. Knowledge is exactly the same as that flame. When you share it, you do not become smaller. Your expertise is in no way diminished just because someone else now understands it too. By sharing your skills, you simply create more light for the entire organization. You elevate the whole room.
And that single, powerful visual demonstration, it completely shatters Vihan's long-held insecurity. The source details an immediate transformation here. Literally from the very next day, Vihan fundamentally changes his approach. He actually begins patiently teaching juniors like Annika. He starts actively celebrating their progress instead of viewing it as a threat. And the result for the company? It's huge. Within a year, Brightness Studios doesn't just produce great designs anymore, they become famous across the entire industry for producing great designers.
So the crucial point is that this lesson stuck with Vihan for the rest of his career. Years later, when people would come up and thank him for his incredible mentorship, he wouldn't boast. He would just point to a candle on his desk and repeat this exact phrase: "A flame never becomes weaker by lighting another flame." It literally became his guiding principle in life.
Which brings us to the undeniable law of professional leadership we can all take away from this source material today. True value in a collaborative environment? It's not about being the only one who can carry the load. The greatest success is not shining alone, but helping others shine too. That is how you build a resilient, capable team, and ultimately, it's how you prove yourself as a truly indispensable leader. I really want to leave you with this final thought as we wrap up today. Think about your own expertise, right? Think about those hard-earned skills you bring to your team every single day. Are you guarding them like Vihan did, or are you multiplying them like Kabir? Who can you share your light with today? Take that question with you. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I will see you next time.